Math Genie.
In this video, I'll be explaining how to solve basic permutation problems. Let's look at the question. An organization is choosing colors for its logo. They have narrowed their choice to 7 colors and want to have 3 different colors in their logo. How many possible logos can be created by choosing 3 of the 7 colors? So in this problem, you're going to be using 2 different new concepts that I'll be introducing today. One is factorials and 2 is a permutation formula. So in order to solve this question, you have to know something called factorials. So let me spell that out for you. Factorials. Factorials. What are factorials? You probably have seen this already. So you might see like a number and the exclamation point at the end. So something like this is going to be called 5 factorial. And what this simply means is it's basically saying 5 times 5 minus 1 times 5 minus 2 times 5 minus 3 all the way until you're multiplying it to 1. So basically in this case, this is just going to be simplified to 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1, which is 120. So basically, you're going to use this concept of factorials a lot. I'm not just saying only with number 5, but you can get small factorials like 4 factorial, or you might get something like 16 factorial. In competitions, they're not really going to give you a question that asks you to solve like 4 factorial and 16 factorial, but you're going to see questions that where you have to know what a factorial is to solve that specific question. So let's use this concept that we just learned to solve this specific permutation problem. I want to first start without using the formula so that you have 2 different choices. So if you forget the formula, you always have a backup. So in the question, it says that you can choose 3 out of the 7 colors. So let's just say the 7 colors like the colors of the rainbow. And when you say permutation, permutation is an arrangement in which order matters, meaning that, for example, if you put red here, orange here, and yellow here, that's not going to be the same logo if you put orange here, red here, and yellow here, right? You're using the same three colors, however, the order is different, and that gives you a different logo. So you're going to be using permutation for this question because in this question, the order of the colors do matter. So let's go ahead and look at this. So I'll start at the very beginning. So you have 7 colors. So let's just say you have the colors of the rainbow. So how many colors can you put in this first box? You can put 7 colors here. So you can put red, orange, yellow, green, navy, blue, and purple. However, it wants you to use 3 different colors. So you can't use the same color that you used in the first box in the second box, meaning that how many choices do you have left? You only have 6 left because, for example, if you used purple in the first box, you can't use purple again, meaning that you have 6 colors left to choose from. And finally, on the last rectangle here, you do the same thing. You can't use the same 2 colors that you used in the first and the second box. So you have 5 choices to choose from. So for example, if you choose purple here in the first box, you can't use purple in the second one. And for example, if you put yellow on the second box, you can't use purple nor yellow on the last box. This gives you can put 7 here on the first box. You have 7 colors to choose from. Then you have 6 colors to choose from, and finally you have 5 colors to choose from on the last box. And how do you find how many different sets of arrangements are available? You just have to multiply all of these numbers, which will give you 210 ways to make this logo. This is like where you don't use the formula. this you're more using common sense. So for example, if you don't remember the formula that I'm just about to teach to you guys, you can always go back and kind of go step by step to solve this specific problem. However, if you just want like a more faster way, I do highly encourage you to memorize this specific formula. The formula for permutation is very simple. You might have, and you should have probably seen something like this before. NPR with a huge P in the center and then lowercase nr next to it. Or you might have seen something like this. P parentheses N comma R. You probably have seen both of these ways. You probably have seen these somewhere, I'm pretty sure. And I'm about to go ahead and basically explain what these basically mean. And these are basically just representing the formula for permutations. This represents the formula n factorial all over n minus r factorial. And here, this n is basically the number of things that are in total. And this r is basically talking about how many things that you're going to take. I'm going to put total here. So for example, for this specific question up here, you're probably going to put 7p3 because you have 7 colors to choose from, and you have 3 that you're going to choose at the very end. So you're going to take 7 colors out of the 7 colors that you have in total. So this is basically how to represent this question. You do the same thing for the second one, for P. The second way to basically show this, P, and then you put 7, 3. So both of these ways you can use to represent this specific question. And you might be wondering, do I really have to know how to write this? No. The math competition is not really going to ask you to write these two things, but it's going to be beneficial for you if you know these in case they do appear. And what we want to focus on though is this formula at the very end. N factorial over n minus r factorial. This is the permutation formula that you probably want to memorize. I highly recommend you to memorize this formula because permutation problems do appear very, very frequently, and literally it's going to be so much easier if you just know this one formula. So instead of going through all of this step using your common sense, you might just want to just memorize this formula just so that you don't have to go through and do this whole process. So let's use this formula and see if that's going to be easier. So I'm going to use this formula and see. So the formula was n factorial all over n minus r factorial. Let's plug in the numbers. 7, because that's the total number. And 7 minus how many numbers did we choose from? 3. Did we choose 3? Numbers we chose from is 7. This gives you 7 factorial all over 4 factorial, which is basically, I'm going to expand it here, but you can skip this process. 7 times 6 times 5. And I'm going to continue this, and I'll just leave out the 1. And then 4 times 3 times 2. And that's going to represent the 4 factorial one. And you can see here that you can cancel out 4 times 3 times 2 because it's repeated. And you're only left with what? 7 times 6 times 5. And you can see that's the same thing that we came up with when we were working with the diagram earlier here. So basically you can just use this formula instead of going here and say, hey, we can put 7 in the first box, 6 in the second box, and 5 colors for the third box. Instead of doing that, you can use this formula. This formula is more useful for more difficult problems where you have more larger numbers to choose from. However, I do highly encourage you to practice using this specific permutation formula, so that it'll be much easier for you in the future when you have more difficult problems. However, the final answer to this question is 210 ways. And that's going to be the end to this video. Thank you for staying until the end of this video.
Math Genie.